afternoon.
Brother, know the quiver, we go smack up like that.
Still live on Ghana Talks Radio.
We go stronger than no matter. Yeah, we go smack.
It's time for the cubicle.
Jaleo.
With me, Lancer Haruna. It's 31 minutes past 2 p.m. right here in Accra, Ghana. And we are live on Ghana Talks Radio.
Here we go again.
The station that gives the youth a voice.
Here we go again.
A very sunny Monday afternoon.
I pray to Papa. Say if I deliver me with the paper, I want to build house for Mama. I dey believe in my hustle, but Monday.
As you know, on this platform, this show, The Cubicle, I will always come your way with some interesting insights and discussions on the topics that are very, very relevant to you and to me, myself, particularly the young person. Even more important, give you the young person's perspective on these issues, because we understand that young people occupy a very, very important section of our population.
We are hoping say that one day things go better.
From wherever you are tuning in, we are live on www.ghanatalksradio.com. We're also live colored on YouTube and on Facebook at Ghana Talks Radio. And today we have a lot of packed,
stronger than Omega,
stuff and interesting conversation that we will have here on the Cubicle live on Ghana Talks Radio. So I want to welcome you again this particular Monday edition. As we seek to discuss NDC losing the vote in Parliament, the MPP sought to approve some ministerial nominations of His Excellency President Akuffo Adoo. Following the resignation of some ministers, a few were nominated to fill the vacancies. So what will be a regular process will turn out into a very, very sophisticated, acrimonious, and saw a lot of compromise. This particular turnout has caused a lot of reactions among the NDC, a lot of neutrals who expected more from the National Democratic Congress, the MPs of the NDC, who were of the view that, in view of the recent economic crisis that we find ourselves in as a country, there was no need to fill the gap, to increase the expenditure of the state by filling in the vacant position or ministerial position. This was a principle of the NDC as a party.
Here we go again.
This particular principle was fought for hardly by the NPP.
Brother, smack up like that. When the things go harder, no matter, yeah, we go smack up. Here we go again. Here Build house for mama. I dey believe in my hustle, but man they pray to Baba. Build house for mama. Jale, oh jale, here we go again. Yeah. Nobody feeling the way I'm feeling tonight, yeah. And I have the hope that things will be alright, yeah. So we're feeling irate as we hustle all day long. We are hoping, say that one day things go better. Jale, oh jale, here we go again. When the things go harder, stronger than Omega. Brother, know the quiver, we go smack up like Undertaker. When the things go harder, we go stronger than Omega. Yeah, oh, we go smack up Undertaker. Jale, oh, jale, here we go again. Me with the paper. Say I go get money. Jale. Stronger than Omega. We go smack.
Every occasion demands the company of good music that fits the purpose. At GTR Sounds, we understand your need to create just the right atmosphere for your wedding or engagement, party, funeral, crusade, political campaign or rally, or just any other event, as well as executive and corporate functions. With our modern and high-quality spinning machines, mixers, microphones, and power amplifiers, binary speakers, and subs, we offer the highest of sound quality and music play at events and functions. At GTR Sounds, we have a team of seasoned and highly experienced sound engineers who understand just the right choice of music for your event. Locate our studios at Aponchi Hotel in Anya or call our numbers 054-8522-897 or 027-3363-973. You can also reach via our email sounds@ghanatalksradio.com. At GTR Sounds, we take care of your event.
Me be cousin legendary, your one and only host for Nigerian Davu. I feel like make you join me every Wednesdays and Saturdays from 12 to 1:30 p.m. as I go to summary you with the latest news and gist directly from Obodo, Nigeria. Don't forget to still catch up on all our previous episodes of Nigerian Davu on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Facebook Podcast, and via our website www.GhanaTalksRadio.com, or make it Google carry us for your pocket by downloading our Ghana Talks Radio app via Android, Google Play, and iOS App Store. Make you feel they enjoy our other Sengemenge shows. Follow us on all social media platforms at Ghana Talks Radio for other interesting story with the draw from our mouth. No talk, see, I no tell you. Omo yami, oya jima soon.
Hello Ghana, hello worldwide, and I'm with the level band. Now listen, every Tuesday and Friday, beyond the time it's going to carry bro. Our Ghana Talks Radio, 7 p.m. sharp. Now Tuesday, we're gonna talk about our culture, our history. Matuni ding setete abako sem. Now on the Friday, you bars on bars. You better rap, you better say ade. No artists go join me in the studio. We're gonna discuss about music and business. Konya, or you singer, and now you rapper, you think say you get bars. You go fit spit fire. Now listen, make you join me with studios. Our Ghana Talks Radio, and yes, say then our day. Me say download the Ghana Talks Radio app, no, our Play Store, any App Store. Not tune in, and say this is what you see, but live on Facebook, Cointakra, any Ghana Talks Radio page, and so now listen, about your fire, 1 year, Konya, Wading, Jajan.
Yeah.
Ecstatic made it.
Yeah.
We will be discussing the NDC's reactions after they lost on the votes to approve some ministerial nominees of His Excellency President Akuffo Adoo. And this particular issue is getting a lot of reaction, or this particular situation is gaining a lot of reaction from all corners of people interested in the body politics of Ghana. And so are we here at Ghana Talks Radio. Now, what actually happened was that some new ministers, including KT Hammond, Brian Champon, Stephen Amoa, and co, were nominated by His Excellency President Akuffo Adoo to replace some of the ministers who resigned, including the former Minister for Trade, Mr. Alan Cash, former Agri Minister, Mr. Okoto Ose, and then I don't know, they actually suspended one other minister. So these were some vacancies that were left. These were vacancies that were created from the resignation and from the suspension and disappointment of some ministers. That was the genesis. Now what happened actually is that the NDC, throughout the vetting process, after the nominations were announced and stuff, the NDC had always maintained that in the financial crisis that we find ourselves in as a country, there is no need to add more burden on the national coffers. There's no need to incur more expenditure. There's no need to spend more money. So the situation, or what happened, or the reality that we've now had some few ministers out of the scene, it meant that from complaining that we had a large size of government, this was just a good, this just happened in the favor of Ghana in the sense that, okay, yeah, there were complaints that we have a lot of ministers. Now, 2 or 3 or 4 are not more. Have left their places, the positions. So just like what we wanted, it just happened in a different way. So let's just continue. Let's move on. Let's see if they can raise some money. So then this was like, take the opportunity, Mr. President, to show to Ghanaians that you don't want to spend more money because we don't have money as a country. And apart from making that particular advocacy, they actually created a position that they were not going to approve of these nominations. So at the vetting, it was very, 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 very tough. Now the whole position was actually cemented by a communique of the party to direct or to whip all its members of parliament into the position of the party that no member of the NDC, no MP of the NDC's part or caucus would vote to nominate or to approve of the nominations of Mr. Akuffo Adoo. If you go back in this particular parliament, I think the 8th parliament, what happens is that because we have 136, 136, is it 137, 137, and then there are parties going on about Ajua, and then the the NDC MP who the injunction is on. So they have equal numbers, and what happens is that even on the E-level vote, there's no vote which has been easy for the majority in parliament, because the NDC always can count on the lack that one NPP member is not present. And at this time, luckily for the NDC, they had all their members in or present, and then by fact, people could actually point that Ajua was not in parliament. So it just meant that at that point in time, the NDC had more members present in parliament than the NPP. So if there's going to be a vote, surely the NDC will win the vote. And that will mean that just by what they were preaching, what they were advocating for, what they stood for, a vote would ensure that that was achieved. Now that is the position of the NDC. But one thing we have to notice is that particular position is shared by a lot of Ghanaians and a lot of neutrals. That okay, the ministers have left their positions. There's space created. Why don't you give it to one other person? Let them share. Let them come together and rule. Like one minister can have two positions. Just with caretaker ministers, they have been there before. A sanitation minister was a caretaker minister. So why don't you do that so that we can save ourselves some money, some expenditure, going to the so that we can at least help ourselves. Much more is better than nothing. Yeah. So a lot of Ghanaians also held that particular position. And this was the first time that the NDC actually had a realistic chance of beating the NPP in an election on parliament, on any issue. So, the fact that NDC actually lost that particular vote is what is shocking a lot of interested people, a lot of neutrals. Now, the whole conversation is now centered on how or why did they lose the particular vote, and also the reaction of most MPs, to the point that some are even cursing their colleague MPs. We'll get into that particular moment in a bit, but that's the end. Like I said, so that's what happened. Now the background is that where I want to start this particular discussion, or where I want to point as the genesis of this particular unforeseen circumstance, or what do you call it? Something that we never thought of could happen in the front of the NDC, is that from all the previous votes we've had in this parliament, what happens is that even if the NDC will lose their vote, all their members will vote according to the party's principle or the party's position. Even on E-level, on whatever vote, they will lose, but they will lose with their numbers intact, showing that the NDC really fought to the end. They cannot win the election because they know obviously that the NPP will always have that one number over them. But they had to show that they had fought to the end. And for them as a party, it meant that they actually stood by the position of Ghanaians to the end. But ask who was the minority leader at that time, during those times. It was Haruna Idrisu, who is the member of parliament for Tamale South constituency. So just 2 months ago, his leadership was revoked by the party headquarters, the party executive, the party national executives. Him with his whip, deputy, the front bench, the leadership of the NDC was changed in January, and the reason for that change, as echoed by the chairman of the party, Mr. President Akuffo, was that they will be going to election 2024 on the grounds of economy. That meant that they needed someone who was very, very what? Who was very, very that's the word I'm looking for. Who could actually come in and present an argument on the for the NDC in terms of the economy, and that Haruna Idrisu, who has served the party for so long, could not do that particular role perfectly, or compared to the new and current minority leader, Mr. or Dr. Ato Forson. Now, it's a very valid argument if you want to say that maybe if you think that the NPP has not performed well in the economy, which they haven't done, the best foot for you to take forward is the economic foot, and the best person in your ranks is the current minority leader. But that particular decision was largely criticized. First, by the MPs themselves, because they claimed that they were not consulted on the decision. They had to hold other meetings just to calm nerves. But first, that particular decision was criticized by the MPs themselves. Most of them refused to acknowledge the changes, and also a lot of people may call it a mistake on the part of the NDC. Now, what happens is that you've changed the leadership in Parliament, and this leadership actually delivered on its mandate, in the sense that it created a very strong unit of members or MPs in Parliament on the side of the NDC. And that just gave me something interesting in my mind. So if that particular leadership, or if at that time it was easy to whip the leaders, was it the work of the national executives, or it was the work of the leadership in Parliament? That's just what came to my mind. I think that's another question that we can answer, because you can actually credit Aruna and Co for whipping their members in line. But whenever there's an election, you see that the executives are in the chambers. Was this particular achievement by the previous leadership, can it be attributed to the executives, or just they as the leaders? But like I said, let's continue for discussion. So a lot of people criticized that particular decision, and the rift started showing from that place. Mind you, this particular rift between this supposed rift between the Haruna and then Ketia and then the Mama, like even the regional elections, it was there. Mama boy, Haruna boy, and all those stuff was there from the beginning, but it never actually showed face until the particular decision to change the leadership of the NDC in Parliament. And that particular decision, a lot of people said that it was a ploy by the chairman of the party, Mr. Nketia, and then former President John Mama to take over the party. But these are just allegations that no one has yet been able to cement or to prove evidence for. So let's take it as they are and move on. So yeah, that's what happened in the NDC, and that changed the face of the NDC. Now bear in mind that a lot of MPs were not in favor of the decision. So even though they are silent, they may not have gotten over that particular decision. Now the most important question to ask is that what did the NDC do with those who resisted or who were rebellious against the decision? It's a very, very important question to ask, because it cannot happen that you take a decision as a group and everybody will agree to that decision. But the most important thing to do is to make the person understand that this particular decision was in the favor of the group, and that he or she should, at least for the sake of the entire group's interest, take the decision at heart and then comport with the standard of behavior of the full group. Did that happen within the NDC? We are yet to see. So that's where it started. Now, the election that went on of Parliament that day, the results are very funny, bro. Let's just go over the results. Let's actually see what really happened. What really happened was that the votes did not pan out the way the NDC expected it. Even though there was the directive from the national executive, that, hey, my MPs, let's vote against these nominations. Let's show the Ghanaians that we are actually standing by the principle that we do not want excess expenditure of or with our Ghana money, especially when we are looking for money. So yeah, these were the nominees and their votes. Katie Hammond, Minister of Trade and Industry, had 154 years vote. Like 154 minus 136. That tells you that almost 20, not up to 20, but almost 20 NDC members voted for him. Brian Chapel had 167. So 130, that's just what, 30. Almost 30 people voted for Brian Chapel from the NDC side. Mohammed Amin Adam, who is now Minister of State at the Finance Ministry, had 152 votes, also more than the NPP's number. Meant that NDC members voted for him. The no votes were 170. 117 compared to 136 is a far off. We also had Jose Bonsu Amwa, who Minister of State at the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development. He had 149 votes. 149 votes, yes for yes. 149 yes votes.
Ecstatic made it. Yeah. Nobody feeling that way I'm feeling tonight. Yeah. And I have the hope that things will be alright. Yeah. So we feeling irate as we hustle all day long. We are hoping say that one day things go better. Jale, oh, jale, here we go again. When the things go harder, stronger than Umaga, brother know the quiver.
Yeah, so we come up, we continue our discussion. Like I said, Osei Bonsamwa had 149 votes, obviously more than some NDC MPs voted for him. Then Dr. Stephen Amwa had 146. That's almost what, 10 additional from the NDC side. And Stephen Asamoah Barton, who was Minister for Religious and Chieftaincy Affairs, 147. That's another 10 or 11 people from the NDC side who voted for him. So all the nominees by the president, at least 10 or more NDC MPs voted to approve them. Now, how was that possible when the party had made a statement directing all its members to vote in a particular position or vote a particular way? No, categorically no. Let's take a short break. When we come, we'll look at the argument for the independence of thought and action, because these are MPs, these are established men and women of their own caliber. They know what they are about and they know how they came to where they are. So you can't just expect 136 men and women to just say yes sir all the time. There's the need for them to express the independence of thought. But in this particular independence of thought and action is actually good for our democracy, where we say that, okay, we as citizens voted you to go and represent us. If you went there on the ticket of NDC, it's good for you, but we want you to represent us. So we don't want you to just go and be voting for NDC position all the time. Vote for our position. When we come and we explore the argument for the freedom or independence of thought and action more into details after the show. But still can stay with us. We'll be right back after the show. Yeah.
What's up, people? I go by the name Coin Takra. Now it's the level band. Now listen, time it's Coin Takra every Friday on Ghana Talks Radio, 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Someone winning with the dial bet. I got another segment for you guys. Now listen, it's all about the up and coming round table. You be rapper, you dey sing, or you feel say you get talent, you get songs. No, listen, send your song and picture via roundtable at GhanaTalksRadio.com or just WhatsApp us on 020-254-4614. Up and coming artist round table. Now listen, every week beyond we go select 10 best artists. Our judges go day studio. Best one. But we never forget the fans and on social media and on our street and so on. Then go vote. Nobody can know. We go invite them for studio and we get surprises for the artists what you see. So last Friday of every month we go invite the first week, second week, third week in your D Kangno. Near the Wama Bus Studio, and we get so many prizes for the soldiers. So up and coming round table. If you be artist, Charlie, just put a song there. You go blow them. One in your corner. Be a mammy at that. Wapping. Jajai.
Wait, what? What happened? And what did you do? Have you ever heard a story or a dilemma that had you wanting more? Have you ever been in a situation with no one to turn to? Well, come and talk to Nans. Join us for story time every 2 weeks. Story time is where we discuss your issues and give you advice with guest speakers. Look at it as your sister helping you out, giving you advice, and just having a good old conversation. So make sure you email us all of your issues and dilemmas now at storytime@ghanatalksradio.com. That's storytime@ghanatalksradio.com. Make sure you tune in. That's every 2 weeks. Every second Sunday on Ghana Talks Radio at 2 p.m. Listen back by visiting the podcast section on www.ghanatalksradio.com. We're waiting for you.
Every occasion demands the company of good music that fits the purpose. At GTR Sounds, we understand your need to create just the right atmosphere for your wedding or engagement, party, funeral, crusade, political campaign or rally, or just any other event, as well as executive and corporate functions. With our modern and high-quality spinning machines, mixers, microphones, and power amplifiers, binary speakers, and subs, we offer the highest of sound quality and music play at events and functions. At GTR Sounds, we have a team of seasoned and highly experienced sound engineers who understand just the right choice of music for your event. Locate our studios at Aponchi Hotel in Anya or call our numbers 054-8522-897 or 027-3363-973. You can also reach via our email sounds@ghanatalksradio.com. At GTR Sounds, we take care of your event.
Ecstatic made it. Yeah, nobody feeling that way I'm feeling tonight. Yeah, and I have the hope that things will be alright. Yeah, so we're feeling irate as we hustle all day long. We are hoping say that one day things go better.
So welcome back to the Cubicle Live on Ghana Talks Studio. Before the break, we're discussing the results of the ministerial nomination there to approve them. Now I want us to look at this argument about independence of thought and action and what it means for our democracy. So what happens is that in our system, in the democratic system, largely a lot of congressmen and women, lots of members of parliament, senators, they are elected on the basis of their parties. So someone can be NPP MP, and he or she is there because the constituency just want to vote for NPP, not because of the person, him or herself. Like, what happens is that you have a better chance at becoming an MP if you join a political party than going independent in Ghana. So the parties actually have a key role. They actually play a key role, critical role in getting most of these MPs elected. That is one. Two, what also happens is that when the party plays a role in getting one elected as an MP, what happens is that in real sense, the person is representing the masses who voted for him. They may have voted for him based on his or her party affiliation, but yes, they voted for the person to go and represent their interest. That is the basic idea of the parliament. That okay, you bring from each household, bring one person from each household. Let us sit at the table and discuss whatever is good for all of us. So, if you come from this household or constituency, you hold or you represent the interests of those people in that particular household or constituency, and that's why we have a parliament. So a parliament is just a group of people who have come from each and every constituency in the country, come together to represent the constituents of the party. So that when we're having a national dialogue, everybody feels a part of that particular dialogue. This is regardless of whether or not you have voted based on your affiliation to a party A or party B. But that's the democracy. That's the idea of it. But like I said already, these political parties actually play a key role in deciding who becomes MP. So yes, you may have the qualities, you may have the what, the fame, the popularity among your people, but just because you don't belong to party B may make you lose your bid to become an MP for that particular constituency. So the MPs largely owe a lot of allegiance to the parties, and that is why when they go, they have caucus, they represent the parties in the caucuses. They don't sit with they don't sit in alphabetical order. If they're representing what do you call it? If they're representing the constituencies, they'll be sitting in according to the alphabetical order. Abosokai, Abamiu, and then they'll come to B. But that's not what happens. What happens is that they go and sit according to party colors. So the left, the right of the speaker, the majority, the MPP, and the left of the speaker, the minority, the NDC. So the MPs are party agents in parliament, more than they are representatives of the people in parliament. But in the real sense idea of the democracy, no, they are supposed to be more of representatives of the people than of agents of their party. Now what happens when an MP decides to vote against his or her party position? They are actually expressing the independence of thought. But the bigger question is that in whose interest are you voting? Is it your own interest as an MP, or in the interest of your people, or in the interest of the country, or in the interest of yourself? If an MP votes for him or herself, that's becoming selfish. That is what now, not recognizing any other interest but yours. It is actually something that can happen. It's a reality. People can go in and vote for themselves because maybe I'm taking something from someone, so I'll compromise. I vote, and you don't know what I voted for, and you move. No problem. No one knows what happens. I get my advantage, and then I'm moving on. Secondly, I'm also voting for my own interest because maybe someone did something to me that I didn't like, and because of that, I'm not going to vote according to what everybody is saying. Third, maybe the position of your party doesn't sync with the interest of the country, so you say, no, I'm not going to vote because this way, because my party or the country does not need me to vote in that way. I want to serve my country bigger than I want to serve my party. And that's what we are all looking for, that our MPs will decide to serve the country than serve their political parties. Now, moving on to the last part, you are actually vote against your people, your party, because your people that who actually voted with their terms for you are saying that don't vote with the party position. But in this case of the NDC, what was the likely situation that happened that some members of the NDC, or some NDC MP decided to vote against the party position? The question is that, did they vote based on their selfish interest? Did they vote or did they vote for or in the interest of the country as a whole, or did they vote for the interest of the people that they represent? Now, the national interest, we all know, largely, section of the public are all in the interest of the fact of that ministers should not have been approved. Like, you don't have money to pay to be spending so much of fuel, residence, security, allowances, salaries, and all that, because we are actually in tough times. So the national interest per se, just on the lay view, would have been that we don't need new ministers. Like I said, on the lay view, we may go into details and mean that maybe we actually need more ministers, but on the lay, on the opaque, just on the surface of it, we don't need more ministers. That's the national interest. So for NDC MPs, for some to vote against that particular interest or against the position of the NDC, looks like they voted against the national interest. Is that the case? What is the constituency interest? Now, let's get the constituency interest. Now, the constituency interest is just like, so we have 275 of them in parliament, constituencies in the country, and then assuming 274 are saying that, oh, we want to vote for hospital rather than an overhead. And then this particular constituency says, as for whether the 274 are in the one position, we don't care. Go and vote for the overhead over the hospital. And the MP goes and say, okay, my people say I want to vote, I should vote this, and that's what I'm going to vote. Now, the question is that which constituency will have that particular public sentiment that the country needs more ministers, to the point that someone in the opposition will want to vote in favor of the government's position. I don't think there will be any constituency in that sense, especially when our MPs rarely ever vote for the position of their constituents. They don't even know how to even to measure what their constituents at that particular point in time want or want them to vote. There are no system. There's no way that you can even access it. There's no service. There are no public research and anything going on. We just assume that once the party says A, then everybody's going according to their party. So yeah, it wasn't constituency interest. It was also national interest. It actually looks like it was selfish interest, like what will favor me. And that is where a lot of reactions is coming from. That, especially from some NDC members, that there's no way that you actually choose your own interest over one, constituency interest, two, party interest, three, and then national interest. Let me read a post by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama on that particular issue. But he basically said that those who voted against those three interests that I've just counted, they may be more, or I may be wrong, but those who voted against those interests should do some soul searching. Bro, this is actually very wild. He said they should do soul searching.
Ecstatic made it. Yeah. Nobody feeling the way I'm feeling tonight. Yeah. And I have the hope that things will be alright. Yeah. So we're feeling irate as we hustle all day long. We are hoping, say that one day things go better. Jale, oh, jale, here we go again. When the things go harder, stronger than Umaga. Brother, know the quiver, we go smack up like Undertaker. When the things go harder, we go stronger than Umaga. Yeah, oh, we go smack up Undertaker. Jale, oh, jale, here we go again.
So I'm reading from what some bits of what His Excellency former President John Mahama said. He said a couple of weeks ago, our NDC announced a principal position, and the position was to vote against the nominations or the nominees. This position was supported by the broad section of Ghanaians, which is actually also true. And unfortunately, Ghanaians were so disappointed yesterday when several members of the minority, for some parochial and personal interests, voted against the principal position adopted by the party. I'm also disappointed. So yeah, he also qualifies this particular position as what selfish interest. But let's go back to the independence of thought argument again. Is it not good for our democracy that finally we can have MPs who express the independent thought and action and act according to that particular thought? It's interesting that at least it's not always all the time that the party should always whip or can always whip its members in line. But once in a while, there's what the MPs can exercise the independent action and thought. But another actually interesting perspective to this particular whole issue is the issue of leadership. Because like I said in the beginning, whipping members of parliament on the NDC side wasn't so difficult with Haruna. Now, could it be that some members of parliament, in expressing their independent thought, actually, took advantage of the fact that there was this kind of changes that they were not happy about, So, for example, if you still feel that you are not happy about the changes that were made by the executive, so because of that, this particular voting presented an opportunity for you to show the executive that, okay, yeah, I can express my independent by not respecting what you are saying, and by that, I don't have any problem. I always just save my own conscience, and then what? I'm free to go. That's also very interesting. So is it about leadership? I don't know. I hope not, because NDC, they are the only for them to actually present themselves as a very viable position, especially go to the next election. They have to be united, and I think this is where I want to end my conversation here. That despite the reactions, despite the seeming acrimony that is building up in the NDC, there's a need for the party itself to look at itself within itself and try and work things out. But one thing I've always said about politics, that politics is more about leverage than of interest. Because even if you have an interest and you don't have leverage, what happens is that your interest will not be met. So there's also about leverage, and maybe no one party or section should believe that they have full control or leverage over anybody else. What happens is that you must always identify that someone also has leverage, and then compromise, so that you can merge this interest into one interest. That will be the interest of the NDC. This one shortly from Honorable Senator Ajima Rawlings, daughter of former President Rawlings of blessed memory, said that his father would have made all the NDC MPs swear on Antwerp. That's how serious the fact that this particular this thing has gone to. So she said that he's okay. So as for, she said that some lawmakers in the NDC betrayed their party in the approval of the ministers, and her late father, Jerry Rawlings, would have been livid about it. Yes. She said that former President Rawlings will probably challenge all the NDC MPs to swear on Antwerp. Antwerp is actually a popular god in Ghana here, and we all know that if you go and swear at Antwerp or on Antwerp, then you actually were being serious with your position. So for those NDC MPs who actually voted against their party position in Parliament, especially on the ministerial nominations, Ablakwa is calling them traitors, Judases, and Esau's. Bro, this is actually very wild. But like I said, politics is all about leveraging. It's more about leverage than on interest. For the party, the NDC party itself will not benefit anything if they don't understand that leverage issue and then compromise and then build to form a unit. It's normal that going ahead of the primaries, it's normal for this rift to show. That's normal within the process. You must all hold on to our positions to see who eventually lose, because the person will not have leverage. The person will have lost out of elections. But hopefully, after this particular primaries and stuff, everything will come back together for them to put together a very strong front against the NPP in the next election. Because the way the money is going to the NPP, the next election will be very, 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 very difficult for the NDC to contend us on a divided front. This is where I'll put my conversation to an end on the Cubicle Live. I'm gonna talk to you. My name is Lawrence. Stick and stay, enjoy the rest of our programs. Go on to www.ghanatalksradio.com, ghanatalksradio.com for all your news and updates and entertainment. You can also download the GTR app on Play Store, Amazon, Huawei App Gallery, and Google Play Store. iPhone App Store. Always tune in live to enjoy our amazing shows and programs from right here. DJ Kobe Rich will be giving us some good music live on Mixcloud and also on their website www.ghanatalksradio.com. So you can stay and enjoy until tomorrow, and at the same time 2:30 p.m. we'll be right back with another edition of the Cubicle. Bye bye.